We're about to head off and out of here. This was an amazing gold rush town. You could tell its size. It stretches for a couple miles, and we still didn't see it all. There's a couple photos on the news site that I'm going to use to put on our site that went underwater recently, so that you can see some more of the town. But I covered I'd say about 90% of the foundations and artifacts that are scattered throughout these hills, and this is all usually underwater. And it rained recently here, and I heard from a friend that some of the foundations, because of the heavy rains, went back underwater. So we didn't get to see everything, but we did see at least 85% of it, and there's supposedly many more remnants of the town underwater still. So if the lake gets much lower next year, we might come back and find more foundations. I'm going to go visit this area real quick, get some pictures of the birds. I have taken EVPs, EMF. I gave you guys a pretty enriched history lesson at an area where there's a lot more foundations. Like I said, you know, this gold rush town came right after the discovery of gold in Coloma, and people actually flocked out here by the thousands till it was almost at 3,000, and they built hotels and dry goods stores and 5 general stores and, you know, probably a couple saloons, and it was just a very active place at one time. And people lived here till the 1940s. They had houses, and all the tree stumps you see, that's wood that was cut down. So, you know, you'll find remnants of foundation, bricks, pieces of wood. There's glass and steel pieces on a lot of the cut down stumps, artifacts from the town itself. And this seems to be a road. In 1954, the Army of Engineer Corps decided to, if I pronounce that correctly, if not, I'm sorry, I just trying to go by memory, had produced the dam itself by combining the north and the south fork where the mouth is, and they enlarge it into a lake, and it flooded the whole town. Everything became flooded. It flooded the cemeteries. There's about 70 cemeteries that were flooded. They tried to remove as many graves as they possibly could. I've heard the situation up in the Kinzua Dam area, Kinzua Reservoir up in Warren, Pennsylvania, in the Allegheny National Forest, in the Appalachian Mountains. And they say that is cursed land. A lot of strange things do happen out there. It's the same thing, you know. Some of these graves will be permanently unmarked for eternity. And we're heading out of here. And what we got to do is when we get to the land bridge, we got to climb over the hill back to the car. And then about half a mile away is the cemetery, and that'll be the second phase of this project. So it's really hard to say if we'll get any EVPs, if we'll get any recordings. I felt it would be appropriate to visit the cemetery to pay my respects and to kind of correlate the cemetery to coincide with this gold rush town. The winds are picking up. The temperatures dropped 10 degrees. I want to thank Albert and Faye for coming out. There's a few other paranormal groups and people that I associate with who did not come out. Very disappointed. You know, I traveled 106 miles to get here, and most people only had to go 20 minutes to meet me, and they did not. And I just can't work with people who aren't willing to work with me. You know, this is a preservation, conservation project. And we're here not to ghost hunt, really, but we're here to investigate the historical remnants of the town and put it together in a history you can understand about 3 Mormon men who went deer hunting, found gold along the American River, which sparked a major gold rush in the area. And this was one of the earliest gold rush towns in the Wild West. So is it significant? Yes, very much so, what's left of the town. And still, if you look ahead, you see water. If that water were to be drained at the moment, there are more foundations out there in parts of the town. Like I said, it had 4 hotels, 2,500 plus people or residents. And it was, this is what made Folsom Lake possible. And Folsom Lake's huge. It's a huge city now. Historical downtown's gorgeous, but you have to keep in mind that there are condos and mansions and all types of historic sites. And throughout if you go around the entire lake, there are foundations everywhere, from mining camps to this ghost town of Mormon Island. And, we bring it to you, and we're about to say farewell, and I will give you a little history lesson when we get to the cemetery. I'll cover some other aspects of how the graves were moved and when and how many, things of that sort, because we want to educate you. We want you to learn from the whole total experience. That's what it's about. It's about learning, mentoring, but it's also about making friends and sharing those journeys with the people you care about most, which is generally the whole paranormal community I care about, and I care about working with others together. It's not a competition. It's about working together to get things done so that we can preserve this site, because a lot of people are actually coming out this way and they're stealing from the town and they're doing things that they shouldn't be doing. Anyways, this is Lord Rick.